Alright, what's up? Today is Monday, November 6th, 2017. Rich Fantas with you. Got the weekly NBA report. And of course, now we're right at about 10 games for each team. A few teams are at still 9. I don't see anyone reaching 11 yet. Or no, a few teams are at 11. So, you're in the 9 to 11 range. Things are really starting to take form. We've played a few weeks now, so we can start to see trends and we can start to see where things are at. In the Eastern Conference, Boston has won 8 straight. They beat the Orlando Magic last night, so they are rolling. A little surprising, not that they're at the top of the conference, but just the fact that they're still really not skipping a beat without Gordon Hayward. But of course, Jaylen Brown has really stepped it up. He's playing very well. Of course, you had Jason Tatum, who was high draft pick. Kyrie Irving's leading the way, but you look at Jaylen Brown this season, he's really doing what you would have liked to see coming into the year, because he really, at times he was showing flashes. He was picking it up towards the end of last season. So you wanted him to continue with that growth moving forward, and he's really playing well. One of the biggest questions with Jaylen Brown was his shooting, and he did well last night. 18 points, 7 of 13 shooting. Jason Tatum put in 13 last night, so he's playing well as a rookie. He's giving them the points, right at about 13 for the season. I would have liked to have seen 15. Certainly, you'll take 13 at this point. Marcus Morris played well. They have a good starting lineup. Kyrie Irving only put in 11 last night. I love the Marcus Morris addition. He's a guy who can score. Jaylen Brown, not really getting any assists, but I'm not expecting that from him. But he's at about 15 and 6.5, or 16 and 6.5. You'll take that, shooting the ball very well. He's shown those improvements. On the other end of the spectrum, you also have Detroit kind of sandwiched in there, but on the other end of the spectrum, you have the Orlando Magic, who are riding pretty high this year. 6-4, so nothing spectacular. Again, it's still a tad early, but you're starting to see, through 10 games, you start to get an idea of what's going on. And they're playing well. Evan Fournier leading the way. Will all those young players finally put it together for the Orlando Magic? That's certainly something that we're going to have to look at if this team can really start to compete. I still don't think they have the firepower to do so. Of course, you have Detroit 7-3. Washington 5-4, Toronto 5-4. They're just trying to find their legs. The Knicks are very nice, 5-4. They're playing good basketball. There's absolutely no question about that. Kristaps Porzingis put in 40 last night. So a lot of the conversation you would, think, well, are they really, just figuring it out without Carmelo Anthony? Was Carmelo Anthony completely keeping that team down as he was? I don't think, they're really that much better as far as, just a sheer talent aspect-wise. If you want to say camaraderie, all those sorts of things, okay. But Carmelo Anthony could still score the basketball. I don't think what was going down was his fault. I'd say the biggest thing is you don't have Phil Jackson anymore. But, you made that nice trade. Kristaps Porzingis is over 30 points so far this season. Certainly that's impressive. Putting up 2 blocks, again, a guy with long arms, 7'3", and just at about 8 rebounds. So, potential MVP, we'll have to see how far that team goes. Enes Kanter is shooting very well. I like that trade. I thought they did well in the trade. Philadelphia, 5-4. Again, I had them maybe a little higher. They've won 4 straight, though. So, can they finally bump it up? Then you're looking at teams like Charlotte, holding up the last spot. Indiana, Miami, Milwaukee, of course, a little disappointing. They're all right at about 4-5. Of course, we got to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, 4-6. Look, they're playing without Isaiah Thomas. You trade away Kyrie Irving, and the guy you brought in to replace him hasn't played. It's just the way they're losing, some of the teams they're losing to. They've lost to the Nets, the Pelicans. The Knicks, of course, are looking better, but they lost to the Atlanta Hawks the other night. LeBron James, at 29 points. So is there cause for concern? I guess, but it's not a situation where I don't think they're going to figure it out. And again, I don't think they really care where they place. Then you have Brooklyn, a little bit disappointing. They've lost 4 straight. Again, I don't think Brooklyn is going to win much more than 25, but I'd still like to see them improve. And of course, Chicago and Atlanta, as expected, at the bottom of the conference. Now moving to the West, we got Houston at 8-3. James Harden just had another huge game the other night, 50 points and 10 assists. I still would like to see where exactly they're going to be incorporating both Chris Paul and James Harden. Harden just under 30 points, just under 10 assists. His rebounds have gone down. He was near triple double. Of course, Westbrook put a triple double up last year, but he was doing much higher in the rebounds last year. So, of course, they went down. I didn't expect him to really be doing that this year as he was. Chris Paul still at 10 assists, but only averaging 4 points. I don't think there's any real issue there or cause for concern or rift between the two. But I'd still think that he's going to have to score for Houston to have their opportunities. Minnesota doing what I would have liked to see coming into this year. They've now won 5 straight. They're up to 7-3, second in the conference. And again, we're seeing as of now the teams that are really going to be there at the end and not be there. Just to say you're second at the conference through 10 or 11 games still doesn't mean that you can't finish sixth come the end of the regular season. So those things are certainly there to look at. Jeff Teague, a guy who I've always liked, and I don't think I've given him enough credit for. He's averaging just over 8 assists. He's really playing well. That was one of the night's additions. You get Jimmy Butler, you have Taj Gibson, you're looking for Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins to take the next step. Jeff Teague is a guy who can play and always has been very effective. Still a relatively young guy. They replaced him with Ricky Rubio, but you look a little under 13.5 points and 8.5 assists. 8.5 assists is solid. So he's doing what needs to be done, and Minnesota is getting it together under Tom Thibodeau. Then Golden State, they've won 3 straight. They're really starting to put it back together at plus 9.4. They're always so high in that plus minus. It's ridiculous, and that is, the more impressive thing. Memphis 6-4, they've lost 1. Portland 6-4. Damian Lillard is a guy who can carry a team. I don't think he can carry a team to a championship with the current roster that they have. But, just put up 36 the other day. And it's a situation where will that team maybe make a move if they're really still competitive and try to bring in a little bit more firepower in that case? If they were able to do that, then you might be looking at a team that could potentially make some noise. And that was last night. He put up those big days. I mean, Damian Lillard's spectacular. He doesn't get any of the coverage that he should out there in Portland. But that's a situation to keep an eye on with Portland. If they actually, maybe push themselves in the top 4 and then come trade deadline, would they look to make the move? San Antonio 6-4. They're struggling with injuries, but Greg Popovich still has that team ready to play. Clippers starting to come back. They're 5-4. They've lost 2. Then you look at, you have a bunch of 500 teams. Utah, very surprisingly, at 500, still in the playoff race again early. We're seeing things start to develop, but you still got to take things with a little bit of a grain of salt. It'll still be about another 2 weeks before we really see, if a team like a Utah is for real. New Orleans 5-5. They've got the firepower on that team to be more competitive. I don't know if they'd put it all together. But you have DeMarcus Cousins putting up almost 29 points per game and almost 14 rebounds. I mean, this guy is that good that this team should be able to make noise if they could finally just figure out how to play. But, 2 big men in today's NBA, it's tough. Lakers 5-5. Denver 5-5. Oklahoma City not putting it together. They're 4-5. I think they'll figure it out. You have a lot of guys who like the ball. Carmelo was ejected the other day. Paul George leading the way in scoring. I don't think it's selfishness or anything like that. I think they'll get it together. George at 21 points. So, you got to incorporate that. And eventually one of those guys will take over. And then Phoenix 4-6. Then Sacramento 1-8. Dallas 1-10. So Phoenix right there with everyone else is, pretty competitive. I'd say those top, whatever that is, 13 teams, you're probably looking at least 25 plus wins. Then Dallas is bad, and Sacramento just doesn't seem like they ever want to win. All right, so that's your NBA report. We'll have any other flash news in the NBA or NFL when the game goes final tonight, the Monday night game. Be sure to stay tuned for a recap of that, or it'll come tomorrow morning. And, of course, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. So have a good week, have a good day, and we'll catch you all next time. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Have a good one.